We are less than 2 weeks away from NAIC 2025 and finally finding out who will be playing at Worlds in Anaheim in August. This season is arguably one of the most competitive since the modern era thanks to the introduction of the top X qualifiers for each region, so only the best and most consistent will make it. And as is tradition now, we have a brand new set that will be having its debut on the first day of NAIC, Destined Rivals. With Journey Together and Rotation, many things have changed in the metagame, and Destined Rivals promises to shake things up a bit more with the arrival of new powerful cards like Shaman, Mewtwo EX and Watchtower. And so in today's video, we will take a look at my personal tier list where I will rank all the archetypes in the standard format based on their popularity, strength and success, but as always keep in mind I am doing this based on my own testing and analysis before you go and comment how bad this tier list is in the comments down below, although we all know that's not going to stop you anyway. In tier 4, we have the decks that are archetypes that synergize well together, but I don't think they are or will be competitive at all. Blaziken is a new stage 2 that combines really well with Blaziken EX. The 120 and 120 to the bench attack is on paper very powerful, but releasing in the same set that we get bench protection through Shaman is just very unfortunate timing, and just completely shuts down any chance of this deck ever being competitive at all. Milotic EX or Waltz is a deck that at this point just isn't it. Its horrible and likely unfixable Gardevoir EX matchup is just impossible to overcome, and Gardevoir EX is going nowhere it seems. Grimmsnarl EX is another powerful threat from Destined Rivals that puts the final nail in the coffin for this deck for me. Wall-space decks just are not strong enough to compete, and even if they can auto-win some decks, with Gardevoir dominating tournaments, these decks don't have a lot of hope to make it far at all. Steven's Metagross EX is the alternate theme deck to Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX, but is inferior. Despite the X-Boot ability being quite powerful itself, Steven's Metagross EX is a mediocre attacker doing 200 damage, and there aren't any powerful Metal-type Pokemon to pair with it and really take advantage of its fantastic ability, and the good powerful Psychic Pokemon are simply better supported by Gardevoir EX. Don't forget that you can watch videos 24 hours earlier if you become a channel member by following the link in the description below. This kind of support helps me continue to create content like this, so please consider becoming a channel member if you enjoy the content. So moving on to tier 3, these are much better decks in terms of power and metagame presence and have their own cool party tricks up their sleeve to set them apart from the rest, but I'm skeptical that they can have a lot of success at NAIC. Terrabox is one of the most versatile decks in the format with a wide array of attackers trying to either damage the bench or KO the active. All facilitated thanks to Crispin and Teal Mask Ogerpon EX alongside the Noctowl engine. Unfortunately for this deck, Destined Rivals brought along not one but 2 counters for it. Shaman protects the bench from Wellspring Ogerpon and effectively shuts down one of the main, if not the main threatening option against tier 1 decks like Gardevoir and Dragapult. But also, Team Rocket's Watchtower shuts down Noctowl, making recovering from Iono or on first stamp that much harder. Whilst Pikachu EX and Lily's Clefairy EX remain powerful threats, the new counter cards are just too much for this deck to handle. And Zoroark EX falls into the same situation as Terrabox, where Shaman completely shuts down a main strategy for this deck, which was applying pressure through their Manitense Flame Body Cannon attack targeting down 2 Pokemon at once. Without that, Zoroark EX is a mediocre attacker, barely doing 170 damage copying N's Reshiram and hoping it gets hit to dish out powerful rage attacks. Unfortunately for Zoroark EX, its likely role in a future deck will only be as a draw engine. Ceruledge EX I think is still underexplored, and in recent weeks I was slightly more impressed by it. That's why I bumped it from tier 4 to tier 3. Its main draw is pairing it with River as an engine, whilst also having the possibility to play Briar at some point to overturn a bad price deficit. Despite it being a one-trick pony, being able to just take down anything in front of you is very powerful, so maybe there is still room for this deck to succeed. Roaring Moon to Dunsparce had a decent share of success in the previous format, mainly piloted by Aiden Kuz. Nothing outstanding, but definitely better than what you'd initially think after seeing that Roaring Moon can't even hit for huge one-hit KOs unlike a dedicated Ancient Box deck. But Neutralization Zone is definitely an underrated stadium that helps the deck do as well as it has been doing so far. With a simple and straightforward strategy, as well as a powerful engine in the Dunsparce, this deck could be a cool sleeper pick. Defense Typhlosion is a brand new deck from Destined Rivals that features a powerful single price Pokemon that can do up to 280 damage for a single fire energy once you have all 4 Ethan's Adventure in your discard pile. Whilst the deck has a lot of synergy with Quilava searching for the Ethan's Adventure supporter directly with its ability, Needing to set up stage 2 after stage 2 every single turn can be problematic, since the 170 HP of Typhlosion is very easily dealt with. Honestly, on paper this deck seems very powerful, but I'm not sure it has what it takes to fully compete at the highest level. And finally, we have Cynthia's Garchomp, which once again has a lot of synergy between the cards, which Roserade helping Garchomp do extra damage, Gabite searching for other Cynthia's Pokemon each turn, and Garchomp itself either dishing out massive damage or drawing extra cards since the deck doesn't have a draw engine itself. With Cynthia's power weight, Garchomp gets a huge 400 total HP, which only a deck like Raging Bolt or Gholdengo can easily 1-hit KO. But its one-dimensional strategy and lack of energy acceleration means this deck isn't quite fully equipped to deal with the top tier decks of the metagame just yet. Next, we have the tier 2 decks. All of these are powerful archetypes that are popular and are expected to be powerful with the new Destined Rivals cards mixed into the metagame. Any of these decks have a solid matchup into the tier 1 decks as well, so any of them can make a deep run at NAIC in the right hands. Charizard EX on its own as we knew it with Pidgeot EX, Dusknoir or Noctowl didn't pop up at all during the Journey Together metagame stretch of tournaments. But with Shaymin now protecting the bench from the threatening Wellspring Ogerpon EX, as well as Gardevoir being so dominant, means that Charizard EX could be uniquely well positioned in the metagame for NAIC if Dragapult EX loses its grip at the top against Gardevoir EX and the new Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX. Next, we have Dragapult EX with no stage 2 partners, i.e. Dusknoir or Charizard EX. While this version of the deck was the most successful in the Journey Together metagame, Gardevoir outclassed it by far in a lot of events, and it's clear that Dragapult EX needs either of the two stage 2s to try and compete well against Gardevoir EX, meaning the solo version drops a tier heading into an AC despite being more successful than the other two before Destined Rivals arrives. Joltik Box is a deck that asserted itself as a dominant force in the metagame after it almost came out of nowhere and got top 8 at Monterey. Since then, it continued to do well, but it was never able to actually win an event. The deck's straightforward strategy of using Jolting, Charge and Crispin to power up powerful threats like Iron Hands EX and Pikachu EX needs to be matched by almost perfect setups by the stage 2 decks, otherwise it's hard for them to overcome, they amp you very much pressure. I expect this deck to continue doing well and remain a popular choice given its simplicity and overall raw power. The new Team Rocket archetype from Destined Rivals is by far the most exciting prospect from the set, given the wide array of powerful Team Rocket's Pokemon and trainers released from the set. Unfortunately, the biggest drawback is no draw engine integrated into the archetype, which means the usual Mewtwo EX plus speed up suffers from reliably finding the Team Rocket energy necessary for Mewtwo EX to attack, and it can also be very susceptible to hand disruption in the later stages of the game. Despite this though, the Team Rocket group of Giovanni, Proton, Ariana, Archer and Petrel, along with their watchtowers and factories and Rocket Ball and Transceiver, make for a formidable engine. So with a new shiny toy factor as well as the powerful supporters on their side, maybe we can see this deck succeed. Evolution started doing better and better as the Journey Together format developed, gathering multiple top 8s at major events. Despite Watchtower coming out to counter the Noctowl engine, the deck can be disruptive as well with Sylveon EX's Angelite, whilst also being very aggressive to Flareon EX's attacks. Where this deck lacks in 1 KO capabilities compared to Raging Bolt EX, it compensates with staying power. Once Sylveon EX or Flareon EX are powered up, they don't need to be continually charged through a supporter like Crispin or Sada's Vitality, which means being locked by Watchtower for a bit is less hurtful. Between the deck's consistency and possibility to adapt by including either a copy of Umbreon EX to handle Gardevoir, or Leafeon EX to handle Grimmsnarl and Charizard, I think the best is yet to come for the Evolutions archetype and it could really shine at NAIC. Gholdengo EX is the last tier 2 deck and is honestly very close to tier 1. Coin bonus makes the deck almost immune to hand disruption, and Make It Rain is a powerful attack that can take down anything in its path. The deck, however, went the opposite way of Evolutions in the Journey Together metagame. It started off very strong, and as the metagame progressed, the deck got less and less relevant results overall, so it seems like it can do quite well into new formats like the one we'll have at NAIC. How good it will be, and will it be worth partnering up with Dragapult or on its own, is yet to be seen. And finally we have the tier 1 decks, which are, in my opinion, the best and most powerful in the format and are the primary contenders to win the whole tournament. First, we have fan favorite Raging Bolt EX. Despite Destined Rivals bringing 2 new cards which go against it, Watchtower to shut down Noctowl and Shaymin to protect from Thunderburst Storm, the deck still has the raw strength and power to deal with both of these, and has great grass typing support to help cover the re-emergence of Charizard as well as the new arrival of Marnie's Grimmsnarl. With Bellowing Thunder taking care of everything else, and Fanrotom handling the early game expertly, the deck is always amongst the most popular archetypes in every tournament we have seen so far, and this will for sure continue at NAIC this year. Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX is self-sufficient with the punk up ability as well as the support from Spikemuth Gym, which means getting multiple out will be fairly easy. Shadow Bullet does a very respectable 180 and 30 damage extra to the bench, which combined with the extra damage from Frostless and Munkidori means this deck will be able to threaten multiple targets at once. And even if Shaman's Protection is in play, with the passive damage from Frostless and Munkidori, you can easily and quickly take care of it. The deck can struggle in the later stages of the game due to low card Ionos and the deck not running any sort of support Pokemon. But as long as you don't overdo it with your energy attachments, this deck is a powerhouse that threatens Gardevoir with its Dark typing and everything else with its multi-target possibilities. And now we get to Dragapult EX, still at the top despite the Gardevoir threat, which brings us to its partners, either Dusknoir or Charizard. You need one or the other to help deal with Gardevoir. And it was Charizard that sealed the deal at a Champions League in Japan, but they had Psyduck to account for Dusknoir. We won't have it. So Dusknoir and Dusclops remain a viable and powerful option to help deal with Gardevoir and other meaningful threats. No matter what supporting Pokemon you combine it with, Dragapult EX remains a powerful threat and must be accounted for at NAIC as it is unaffected by most Destined Rivals new cards, with the only small threat being Team Rocket's Mimikyu, which requires Leadless Clefairy EX in play as well for it to actually mean anything. And finally, we have the most dominant deck since rotation and during the Journey Together metagame, Gardevoir EX. It will definitely remain one of the best decks in the format, and now that it gains a basic form of bench protection and Shaman, it frees up a spot from having to play the whole Rapska line. Gardevoir won most of the major tournaments in April and May, and is likely to continue to be a popular and powerful threat at NAIC with no fear of Grimmsnarl EX at all. Can it also win NAIC? That is to be seen, but I'm confident a lot of people will be putting their hopes into this deck to take them through to the finish line. And so, hopefully this shows you what I think are the best and most powerful archetypes heading into NAIC. Destined Rivals isn't the most groundbreaking set, but it does add enough to make us all rethink our deck choices and deck building to account for the new impactful cards, Shaman and Watchtower. We are down to the last tournament of the 2025 season, the one that will determine who is in and who is out of the 2025 World Championship in August. As always, I will continue to reevaluate and adjust my expectations and opinions as we have more results to see if I might have overestimated or underestimated some decks. Make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned to this channel for everything Pokemon TCG related. For now, I'd love to hear what you think will do well at the upcoming regionals and if there are any surprises left in the Destined Rivals metagame. Thanks for watching, and until next time. If you want to support the channel, you can use code tablemon to get 5% off at Potent Store for your online codes, 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming, and 10% off on your aluminum accessories at TC Evolutions. Or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield. ¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyperbeam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local G18 y G11 en el centro comercial Otay.